The armed forces are not neutral. They collude. They collude. They collude with the armed bandits that kill people, kill Nigerians.
That's the allegation of
yeah, very strong allegations too.
T.Y. Danjuma against the Nigerian army.
Yeah.
Of course, we will be looking at that now, saying that they colluded at one point, or was the allegation anyway, with armed bandits there to wreak havoc and kill people in Taraba State.
Yeah, the statesman made those allegations back in March. Now, those claims have been denied by the Nigerian army, who set up a 10-man investigative panel to probe the collusion allegation. The Chief of Civil Military Relations, Major General Nuhu Angbazo, says the claimant was not accessible to affirm his claim, and the conflicts in the state were politically motivated.
Well, he cited intolerance and the lack of inclusion as the bane of the incessant conflicts in the state. General Angbazo absolved the commanding officer of 93 Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel I.B. Gambari, for refusing to do the bidding of the state government, which informed attempts by the state government to get him removed.
The crises over the years in Taraba State were particularly in Takum, Wukari, Usa, Donga, and Sodona local government areas. There was absence of Nigerian army deployments in some crisis-prone areas in the hinterland in Taraba State. It is the opinion of the Army headquarters that the investigation panel did a thorough job. The Army headquarters therefore oppose the recommendations of the panel. The general public is enjoined to note that the Nigerian Army is a formidable institution and the pride of the nation. The Army will not rest on its oars when responding to the security challenges in the country.
Okay, well, the point is, has the Nigerian Army lost an opportunity to actually, create more confidence in the minds of Nigerians about the Army's straightforwardness and professionalism and discipline when it comes to this issue? Well, Ayodele Dio is still with us in the studio, and we've since been joined by a faculty member of the Pan-Atlantic University, Dr. Austin Mweze. Good morning, gentlemen, again.
Thank you for joining us.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you make of this clean bill of health given by the military about itself, when a top Nigerian, a top military man who was in the military himself, says you have been colluding with bandits, with militants? As a matter of fact, it's ethnic cleansing that's going on.
Well, it's always good to, I tell people, it's always good to have a rich man or an important personality in your neighborhood, in your community, that will always rise to occasions, and if not for somebody like T.Y. Danjuma, who raised this issue up, nobody was thinking of raising any panel of inquiry of any kind, But again, the military voluntarily set up a panel just to, like a cosmetic thing, and we knew the end from the beginning, when the panel. But the thing is that the people who are crying now, they did not insist on having an independent inquiry set up, maybe headed by a retired chief judge or something, to really investigate people who don't have special interests. The Army raised a panel, decided among themselves, and then gave us a report, and we are now crying.
Well, the National Human Rights Commission and the civil society organization were represented, were part of the panel.
Yeah, but the point is that they should have done that, insisted on having an independent judicial panel of inquiry.
Apart from this
panel. So what do you expect? So the Army, they have given themselves, they should have been proactive. Even the human rights, it doesn't make any sense for them to begin now to, no. They should have insisted, okay, Army, we did not tell you to set up any inquiry, but if you must set an inquiry, it must be an independent inquiry, which will constitute, so they set up, some kind of agenda for them. So, okay, this person must be there, this person must be there. Now that the report is out, and it doesn't make any sense. There's nothing is going to change. The Army, they have...
Does the report of this panel make any sense to you?
I mean, I'll toe Prof's line. You cannot set up a panel, you're trying to be a judge in your own case, in the first place. And I wonder when we'll start to get things right, in this country. If serious and damning allegations are being made by former army chief and former army general who had led that same institution, I had expected, that, a special team, is set up and put together to do a thorough job. I don't care if it takes 6, 7, 8 months to do the job and come out with a full report, as to the incidences that the general had raised up.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that, in the presentation of their report, they didn't even raise issues of you could even have said 1 or 2 people who were not under the command did 1 or 2. They just give themselves a clean bill of health. And whatever the general said, he was just speaking, to a group of students.
That was politically motivated.
And knowing that it is in public space, what some soldiers did, burning, houses in the village.
To think that the soldiers, we've seen reports severally, that the military hierarchy have lied on certain issues before. The Chibok girls case is a case in point. Even the recent Dapchi girls, they came out with a report quickly that was later disputed. So they are not infallible in the first place.
No, but the point again is that it's true that in Taraba State they have been having some issues internally, and that's what the army latched on to begin to make all these insinuations. But it's beyond that. Some issues, yes, political issues, religious issues, considering what happened when the late governor, took over power and all that. Yes, also I have some insider information as to what the politics of Taraba State, and then how the religion plays a big role in it. But this one,
in fact, the military says it is highly heterogeneous, and
yes,
that's one of the problems.
Exactly, but again, that is not. Why didn't the killing happen before now? They could fight and all that just for power. Okay, but this one is so obvious.
Well, then the
governor had cried to Abuja, for the federal government for help.
Yeah.
They ignored him. They ignored him.
Well, do you wonder then what the military has got to gain, to be involved in such a alleged
the military, they have
collusion.
lost that professionalism. They are proliferated, and it's no longer the kind of military that, it's been polarized rather. It's been polarized.
And I wonder what that really portends for Nigeria. If you have a military that's been polarized, and the person who is laying the allegation is one of them.
Yeah, for several years, for us to think that the military will not get to this point would have been us, engaging in wishful thinking. We look at the military as though they were individuals who fall from the sky, not having family relationships or family connections or connected to a village or a local government. They are part and parcel of the society. It means that you have military men who are from Benue, who have had their people killed in farmlands.
Yes.
It means you have people in the military who are from Taraba, who are from different states in the country, who feel some sense of injustice, or who feel that the country has not protected them enough, or the country has not given them a fair share, of the pie at the end of the day. So these people go back home to their families, who cry and lament on certain issues that I find somewhat parochial, but they can call them just.
But you would expect that the kind of training a military man gets actually places him above board, above the ordinary.
He's supposed to be that way.
Mere mortals.
Yeah, he's supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
But like I said, because of the, remember when the height of the Boko Haram incident during the previous administration, the one military guy said that his faith, his religious faith, is more important to him than the uniform.
Exactly.
So these are the things that the army has been so divided along religious and ethnic lines these days.
Doctor, let's look at it this way. We got reports, over the years since the Boko Haram insurgency started that those that lived to tell the story would tell you that some of the Boko Haram attackers were wearing military camouflage. And then, of course, we've been told that our borders are porous. About 1,400 porous borders have been identified. What is being done, we do not know. And that is one of the points, given by the military representative, that the porous borders to, adding to the crisis there, because foreigners are just coming in and attacking. And if some of them, during those times, wore military uniforms, how would the villagers identify that these are truly Nigerian soldiers?
If Nigerian army, whose duty it is to protect our borders, but they are now doing the job of the police. If they do more
due to no fault of theirs.
Well, it is not their, but the high command. Okay?
Yeah.
The police, they have sidelined. It's only in Lagos traffic and all that, you know that there's police, you know, that you still have Nigerian police. But internal things that are supposed to be manned by the police, they're no longer doing it. So the army themselves are overstretched. There are over 1,000 entry points into Nigeria. Over 1,000.
Yeah.
Which the army should focus on. But they're not doing that. Okay? They're not doing that. If you travel to the east, for instance, every 1 kilometer or less, you find the army, the police. I say, what's going on here? We are under a siege. Okay? So the point is that the army should be more concerned about these borders
than what is happening within.
Inside. Leave the police to do that job. They're doing both the job of the police and their own job. They're overstretched.
The CSOs that went on ground, some of them went to Zamfara, Taraba, and the other states that are vulnerable to these attacks. According to them, what they discovered on ground has absolutely nothing to do with herdsmen attacks. That it's actually ethnic cleansing that's going on, re-echoing what the General, T.Y. Danjuma, said. What are the implications of this? Because if we think we're fighting A, and as a matter of fact, it is a B that we're actually fighting, how do you strategize in terms of meeting that, you know?
You know, first of all, whether it's ethnic cleansing, whether it's
herdsmen
crisis, whatever it is, the problem is that the monopoly of violence has been ceded by the state. Because as long as the state cannot deal with this violence that continues to happen consistently, it could metamorphose from just basic community clashes into ethnic clashes, into religious crisis and what have you. You know, I find it nauseating most times when top security officials re-echo what academic professors should be saying in the classrooms. When they talk like professors sometimes, they tell you that our borders are porous. People come into the country and kill us and go. That's the people that's supposed to be protecting you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is what professors should say in classrooms. And you're re-echoing that to me. So what you're saying to me is that people can run me down from Niger. People can run us down from Chad.
And from
people
Libya.
can run us down from Cameroon. And there's nothing we can do about it. Listen, the Gulf of Guinea is being run by sumities of bandits, and that's supposed to be our trading route. Our naval forces cannot take control of that supply chain.
Okay, now
we're in trouble, for goodness sake.
The government gave this mandate to the military, to the army rather, to go into some states to secure them, knowing fully well that the police is responsible to maintain for internal security. And that the job of the military is to maintain the sovereignty of Nigeria. So now President Muhammadu Buhari, has already approved. We don't know if it's been released or not. The $1 billion, from the excess crude account to even provide a lot of weapons for the army. And people are asking, if it is to secure internal security, why not give that money to the police instead? So are we chasing shadows instead of chasing?
That's the right word. I think
chasing shadows.
we're playing politics and just playing to the gallery, because we're actually chasing shadows. The point is that the army is not even investing that money well. If you equip the police, recruit more, we need at least one policeman to 100.
6,000 police officers.
Yes, one policeman to about 100 citizens, to be able to, to at least manage to. And if you have this community policing or state police that we've been advocating for, some of these things will be taken care of. But now you centralize everything. In this knowledge economy, it is, it's about change. It's constant change. It's about innovation. It's about research. And one man, even organizations are beginning to realize it. To hand over one man to run an organization is becoming too difficult.
It's interesting you raise that point, because the UN actually said recently that for some reason the Nigerian army has been fighting this crisis like the conventional warfare instead of re-strategizing and being innovative in the way it goes about
that's right.
Tackling these security issues.
The army still has a cake way of, this is knowledge economy for crying out loud. How many people are manufacturing guns, that drones that you don't even any human this thing? I've seen these tanks, army tanks that you don't even need to be manned by any, because the life of a soldier is precious.
Absolutely.
So you don't even need to have 1 million or 2 million like the Chinese and all that. The armies are beginning, the British, for instance, they are reducing the army to 50,000 because they are investing more in technology. So I expect the army, anywhere in the world, in the most developed societies, is the army that bring out new innovative ways that corporate organizations use, to train their people and all that. But in Nigerian army, they are not doing that.
Okay, so now that we have this report,
is a challenge, really.
What then? The army has said there was no collusion. As a matter of fact, it was politically motivated on the part of Danjuma coming out with that allegation. What next? What do we do with this?
The fact that we reduce serious issues of state to politics is most times worrisome to me, because what it means is that we'll continue to relocate and push the problem. We're just kicking the can down the road until it becomes very highly combustible and it consumes all of us, at some point. Like Prof said, you have about 400,000 policemen attempting to police 200 million Nigerians. I mean, how are you going to do that in the first place? You're funding when you talk about security, your thinking is solely about the military, who are already conducting peace operations in over 20 states in the country, and you leave your police without equipment, without motivation, without quality training at the end of the day. And one thing that our security agencies need to incorporate is that the fight against insecurity is no longer about just guns and boots on the ground. You need professors. You need people who are versed in human behavior. You need people who are versed in technology. You need people who understand the historical perspective of all of these communities. You need to build a team together to battle this insecurity challenge.
All right, Ayodele Adio, editor, Gloom TV, and Dr. Austin Nweze, faculty member, Pan Atlantic University. Thank you very much for your analysis at this time.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, putting in mind that the IGP said about 1.3 trillion naira is needed annually to fund the police.
To fix the police.